Hello, and welcome to Master Your Interview with Madeline, where today we are talking about how your video interview background might affect how you're perceived by the interviewer. So, unfortunately, we know that video interviewers are potentially looking at people's backgrounds in order to better understand the candidate. So, looking at these two images on the left and the right, what do you notice about a job applicant who might be filming the exact same interview from these different backgrounds? The person on the left might be viewed as a little bit more disorganized, more cluttered. Maybe they're going to be perceived as less competent, less conscientious, whereas the person on the right is probably going to be viewed as more organized, going to show up on time, not going to be late, that kind of thing. And this is all from the background. So think about the types of traits that are required for your job. Are you required to be a planner, be scheduling, have stuff done on time? Think about that when you're trying to decide where to film your video interview. Simple is probably preferred over cluttered. Less is probably better than more. So remember that in a video interview, unfortunately, everything is fair game. So you want to be really strategic about what you're including in your video interview background. So don't just think that because an employer should be judging you on your job relevant characteristics, that they are. They're going to be using any piece of information that you have in order to assess whether you are a good fit for the job. It's like online dating. They're going to be viewing everything you're giving them, canning out the red flags, accepting the green flags. So with that in mind, don't include anything you wouldn't want your employer to know. So if you're not sure whether this is a good spot to film because you've got something indicating something you might not want the employer to know, don't do that. So again, you're often evaluated based on everything and anything that might be indicative of your future job performance. Be strategic about what you're including. So with that in mind though, consider using your background to your advantage to possibly align with the organizational culture. So maybe you're working at an outdoor store and you have the option to film your video interview maybe outside, maybe with a bike in the background. Could that help you showcase how you're a good fit for the job? Think about these kind of things when deciding where to film. So remember that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Think about the traits that you want to highlight to show that, hey, not only am I a good fit for this position, but I'm a good fit to work in this company. There was one study called Rome with a Q by Gosling et al. 2002, and this study talked about how people could infer other people's personality traits based just on what was in their office or their bedroom. So you'd go into someone's office, you'd see what's happening there, and they could determine their level of extroversion, conscientiousness, those kinds of things. And so essentially what this means is that our backgrounds are giving off a lot of information about us, whether we like that or not. So the ultimate question is whether or not to blur your background. Maybe you're thinking this is the catch-all answer to, oh, I don't have anywhere good to film. But we don't really know exactly how blurred backgrounds might be perceived by the evaluator. So maybe you're viewed as less trustworthy. It's like, why do they have something to hide? What's behind them? Or occasionally you might have been on a Zoom call and someone kind of waves their hand and their background jumps into a solid object and you can kind of see glimpses of what's behind them, but it can become really distracting. And so that can be an issue as well. And then lastly, the asynchronous video interview platform that the companies decide to use might not actually allow you to blur your background. So don't bank on the fact that this is even an option in that platform. It's different than Zoom, different than Microsoft Teams. So the other issue is you don't want to be perceived as a serial killer with a white-walled background. Not only is that kind of boring, it's vague, it doesn't really tell us anything about you. The asynchronous video interview purpose is to bring your resume to life. It's to showcase who you are, and that's your chance to let little things shine. So make your background intriguing. Give them something interesting to look at. Remember that the evaluator is watching so many of these different videos that you kind of want to make yourself stand out, make yourself look unique and different from the other candidates. At the same time, watch out for concerning surprises. So you don't want to give the evaluator something unexpected halfway through your interview that immediately makes them skip and move on. You don't want them to have anything to be concerned about based on where you're filming. So hopefully all of these have given you something to consider when you're filming your asynchronous video interview. What are things that you consider when you're trying to decide where to film or what to include? What would be things you would never include? What are things you always include? Maybe you've tested out a couple of them, what worked and what didn't work. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this content, subscribe to Master Your Interview with Madeline for more helpful tips and tricks about filming your pre-recorded video interview. Thank you.